see, apart from that, just another comparison for the monitor. If I bring my old Latitude that I use for work here, oops, and you can see my laptop is already gonna get a bit damaged, but here we go. These are the two screens side by side. The brightness on my Latitude is a lot lower. It looks a lot more washed out than my F11. Okay. This is really just a lot more bright, a lot more beautiful looking. Okay, continuing with the screen. In the US, there seems to be a lot of complaints about the vertical viewing angles of the premium monitor. Again, this is a different monitor than the US ones, but let's take a look at the vertical viewing angles here. If I push the screen back, and it doesn't go back that far, but you can see. And by the way, I'm standing behind a completely open window into the garden. So there's very little glare because it has an anti-glare coating. But you can see that the vertical viewing angles are actually very, very good on this machine, or on this screen, on the premium EU screen. Let me just do a stand-up tour for you. And I hope that's pretty visible because I haven't had any issue whatsoever. And again, I watch a lot of movies in bed. I do move around a lot and I have not noticed any distortion. Let's do a horizontal tour. Now, this is an Adobe RGB screen, again, so the colors are really nice. I do not know if it's an LED backlit screen or a CCFL, I believe is the other one. I don't know, and I can't tell. So it looks evenly lit to me. I haven't noticed any color distortion on any of the edges, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter to me if it's LED or CCFL because it still looks gorgeous. So that's about it. For the screen, I think that's about it. Oh, there have been complaints that text size is difficult to read because it's a 1080 display on a 16.4 inch screen. I have not experienced that at all. So for me, it looks very readable. And this is notebookreviewforums.com. If I put some text side by side here, I can read it perfectly well, and I'm standing this distance from the laptop. I have absolutely no issues, and there's no zoom set over here whatsoever. This is the standard text size. If you wanted to, you could use Firefox and apply a plugin that will automatically zoom the text in for you. This has had none of that. It's exactly 100% DPI. It's as Windows came, and it's very readable to me. So if you do have sensitive eyes, do check it out in store. Make sure that the text size is okay for you and the resolution is okay for you. 1080p is a very high full HD resolution. If you haven't used it in the past, or if you've been used to mainstream laptops, which are usually, by 1280, I don't actually know the resolution. Let's take a look. I'm going to change the resolution here. Where would I do that? There we go. See, it's 100% text size that I'm looking at right now. Now, this is 190 by 180, which is 1080p. Standard laptops might come with around this setting, which I'm going to change to now. And you can see the huge difference in size here. Look how big it's become. And if I open my browser, this to me is huge. I would not want to be working with this size text. It's much more readable from this distance, but I didn't have a problem reading the 1080p text. Now, this resolution is about what standard budget laptops would include. If I go up to today, like for example, the Envy in the UK was originally sold with this resolution. Again, you can see it's a lot bigger. Just take a look at these windows side by side, and you'll see as I change them. change display settings again. Now I'm going to go up to the settings of my old Asus, which was not full HD, but pretty good resolution. And now you can see again, notice how everything keeps shifting up here because you have a much more real estate to work with. Okay, this is, I would think, quite comfortable for anyone. 1680 by 1050, I don't think you'd get many complaints. So if you are sensitive to resolution, I'd probably recommend that one. And I'm moving from 1680 by 1050 up to full HD. Take a look. There you go. All right. No lag. So let's just with regards to the specs. Again, this is a Core i7 720QM processor. It's 1.6 gigahertz, turbo boosting up to 2.8. It has 6 gigs of RAM, 1333 megahertz, DDR3. It's got a 1 gig NVIDIA 330M graphics card. Not the best, it's a mid-range card. I am not a gamer, but it certainly does the job for current games, just not at full HD resolution. It never lags. I multitask a lot. I always have multiple windows open. Let me just open a couple of, open Office real quick. So if I open Excel, okay, and I'm using a slow 5400 RPM hard drive. I could have opted for a faster one, but I plan to upgrade it manually later on. So you could get much better performance with faster hard drives. But as you can see, it's incredibly fast and slick. I'm going to open iTunes as well. And then iTunes open up here. So I've got iTunes open, Excel, Word, I've got Chrome open. I'm going to open Safari. I'm going to go open Internet Explorer. And all of these are running everywhere. And I can still just browse around between them with absolutely zero lag, even when I'm working actively. I've got MSN open. If I take a look at my, my performance monitor over here, you can see out of my 6 gigs, only 2 are being used and the processor is idle at 1%. 8 threads, not working very hard. I can always multitask between them. There's never any issue whatsoever. I've never had a lag appear, even if I play movies. So I think it's brilliant. It's very efficient. Fan noise. Another complaint on Notebook Review is fan noise. Apparently this fan is very loud on some models. I have not experienced that. I believe my Latitude over here is a lot louder than this one. Now, I tend to work from home and use both machines simultaneously. At the end of the day, when I shut this one down, the environment becomes a lot quieter than before. The sound from this fan overpowers the sound from this fan, and you're looking at a Latitude that's running an AMD 1.6 gigahertz processor with about 2 gigs of RAM. It's a very old laptop, as opposed to this one, which is a quad-core, top of the line, top spec laptop. So you're gonna expect fan noise. You're not gonna get a quiet machine out of this. It's not gonna be a Core 2 Duo. The fan does switch on when you're running multiple windows or running a lot of processes simultaneously that will stress the CPU, but it's not louder than my G1S, my old Asus G1S, which is a Core 2 Duo 2.2 gigahertz. It's certainly not louder than the Latitude over here, and compared to my previous notebooks, I'd say it's about the same. I mean, it's not quiet, it's not terribly quiet, but it won't, if you don't stress the CPU, you won't hear the fan. When you start stressing the CPU a little bit, you'll hear the fan, but not to the point where I ever considered an issue. Some users in the US also reporting kind of whining noise coming from somewhere in the interior, I forget where. I have not had that experience at all with the UK CTO model. There's no whining whatsoever. The only noise is the fan, which from my perspective is normal. I certainly would not expect the Envy or the SXPS to be any quieter at all. And you'll find the same complaint on most i7 laptops, that it has loud fan noise, which is understandable to me.